If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah blah.
Good vibes.
Blah
Good vibes.
blah. The blah blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Graham Eric Show. Coming at you this week with friend of the show, Frank Rogala returns. The eccentric Frank, coming in from Mackinac, getting ready to launch his event. He's been traveling. I got him on Facebook, so I just see him constantly traveling all over the place. He's hanging out with Asim Harriman and Trevor Grassi and our buddy George Howard and artifact hunting and all this other crazy stuff. So we have a great chat with Frank coming up later. Of course, you can jump to the show notes if you want to skip the lazy ramblings. But we should mention right away that he does have the conference. I mean, it is competing with our tour, but it's a different sort of thing. But it is I believe it's the same weekend as our tour starts, maybe the weekend of the 30th there.
Yeah, it's Disclosure in Mackinac, August 31st to September 1st and 2nd. So he's got Scott Wolter's going to be there, Emery Smith, Trevor Grassi. Who else do I recognize names of? Nikiana Jones, a bunch of other people there. And I guess it's Disclosure in Mackinac, Truth, Consciousness, Connection, Mackinac City, Michigan. So it's going to be right near where we are, aren't we? Or isn't it? Or where?
Oh, I don't know. I'm thinking Michigan.
Well, it's pretty. I mean, it feels like it's in that area, but I mean, I think it's up in between the lakes, right?
Michigan's on the. Oh no, Illinois.
And then I guess ours would be on the other side of the Great Lake, right? The Finger Lakes is on the far other side. So it's probably farther away than I think, but it's in that same Great Lake area.
Yeah, Lake Michigan's the big one, right?
Yeah. And his website is mortalsoferarth.com. I might as well do that all right now. Saving Civilization, Cracking Open Reality Beyond the Mainstream Veil is his book. He's just an adventurer, a musician, a filmmaker, he's thought leadership and exploring unconventional ideas. This episode is fantastic. He's really articulating some really cool ways about information and thinking.
There's Mackinac right there. Wow, it's like right in between the two Great Lakes.
Two lakes. Yeah, it's right up in there.
Man, Michigan has got it going on. They are just surrounded by. They're touching Lake Erie, Lake Huron, and Lake Michigan. They got all of them.
Total lake country up there. Yeah,
must fucking get hammered with snow sometimes.
Yeah, probably. But I bet you it's gorgeous though in the fall too. I bet you it's just beautiful up there.
So yeah, it's a little ways. It's got to be 1,000 miles or 500 miles
because you got to kind of go down
500 miles. 500 miles as the crow flies.
Wow. So yeah, there you have it. Check out his website and his book. There's links in the show notes to all that and his event. But if you're really looking to come, it's gonna be a tough choice: our event or his event.
Buffalo's like as far as you can get from New York City in the state, eh?
Yeah.
And you still got Vermont up there. All the Quebecies, Frenchies. I wonder if there's a bunch of French people in Vermont too. I wonder if there's like a crossover culture.
Oh, probably.
You would think so.
I used to live. That's where I used to live right near the border. I mean, I grew up as a kid, not like, we moved out when I was 7 or 8 in 1978. There it is, Hemmingford, right there. It's right above Plattsburgh. So it's right above Vermont. So my mom and dad used to go across all the time because we were like we were the closest town to the border.
Hemmingford?
Yep, Hemmingford. That's where I grew up as a kid from like 1 to 7, 1 to 8.
It's tiny.
I cried moving out west in 78. I was like, oh my God, it's a tiny little town. My parents had this little sort of like, I don't know if there was you call it an acreage with a barn, and we had a horse, and
There's a Burger Bob.
I don't know what that means.
Tim Hortons now. A Burger Bob. I don't know what that is too. So did you go to St. Romain School?
I don't know. I don't
That's the
remember.
school there.
Must have.
Huh. Yeah. Well, at least you didn't go. Then would you? I wonder if you'd speak French if you would have stuck around much longer.
Well, that was the weird thing, was it was getting pushed. Like the street signs were changing to French. My mom and dad were like, this is getting pretty crazy. Let's move out west. Not that they were against the French or anything, but my dad was English. Like we were, they were, what do you call that, English in Quebec?
Anglos.
The Anglos or whatever. And I was learning French. I mean, I rebelled in high school. I didn't want to do it. I kind of, it probably came naturally, but I just didn't want to go there. So I kind of rebelled in school and didn't learn it as much as I could have. We had a great French teacher in junior high too, De Laurentiis, Monsieur De Laurentiis, like a kind of a cute older woman, like not older, but when you're kids, we liked De Laurentiis. We were in the Fiesta section in the back of the class.
The Fiesta section?
That's what we called it. Yeah,
That's Spanish.
I know. Isn't that weird?
My French teacher was Mr. Peltier. He also taught science, but he was super French. So whenever he said organism, it really sounded like orgasm.
Oh boy, that would be. Yeah.
So we busted his balls about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Back in the day, of course, we have a great show coming with Frank. People want to check that out. We do have still spots. You mentioned the Finger Lakes tours. We're about out of private rooms. I might be able to find one more of those. It's a private room heavy bunch.
Oh, okay.
We can always figure something out. If you do need a private room, check that out. contact@thecabin.com. We're up to 25 or 26 though for that Finger Lakes tour. So it's going to start running out of space pretty soon. There's tons of room left for that other one coming up right after that though.
That's with Randall. Did we say that?
They're both with Randall Carlson, and Bradley Young. And I think looks like Dan Richards, Stanley Dunker be joining us as well over there in Lake Chelan in October. So, should be a good time. People want to check that out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's going to be a good one.
I've never been to New York.
No, wow.
I flew through Jersey. That's as close.
I think I went.
Never mind. On the way to Easter Island, I went through JFK.
Yeah, but that doesn't count. Airports don't count.
And I was asleep too, so I didn't even know anything other than what you could see outside the windows of JFK. That's all I know about.
I probably went during
you know what I do remember? There was a bunch of Jews. We were walking down the thing, got off the plane, walking down the thing, and there's 100 Jews, straight up Jerusalem Jews, like the
Hasidic ones?
The Hasidic ones with the hats and the hair and the curly things and all. I mean, I think you were with us actually, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
You were with us.
For some of it.
We had the dancing Israelis. Different dancing Israelis than the ones that did 9/11. But, we still had dancing Israelis doing their thing in the, so that was the first time I encountered that. I mean, I drove past a lot of that in London. was very strange about London, how many ghettos there were that were like fucking just like going, might as well be in Syria for a few blocks, and then you might as well be in fucking India for a few blocks, then you might as well be
Well,
in
Camden's
Israel
got
for a
that
few
too.
blocks.
That's what Richmond's like, and Surrey. You know, they're like
Yeah,
that.
no, this is the problem. This is why we want to separate from you fucking assholes. Anyway, I digress. The little boat is done and ready to rock. Successful project. Not sold yet. I still got it listed a little high. You know,
Did you manage the windshield? Did you manage to clean the windshield at all? I was going to
I
mention that.
gave up on the windshield, dude. I just,
Really? What?
it
You
just
didn't do your
wasn't
little
happening.
polishing trick with your drill?
Didn't work.
What? You
Didn't
tried
work.
it?
I tried it.
It didn't work?
You know what? I could try it again because I did end up the like polishing kit at Canadian Tire went on sale, and I had a bunch of Canadian Tire money saved up because
They still do that?
Yeah. Well, now they just give you a little thing you put on your keys, you know. And this lady that works there, this old lady, was like, "Dude, you're in here like 4 days a week. You got to get this card." And I wouldn't
She
do it. Wouldn't
recognized
do
you.
it. So finally, well, yeah, I'm in a small town, so it's like the same lady all the time runs the weekdays, which is when I like to do most of my stuff. Because, and it's great. I appreciate that Canadian Tire hires a lot of local kids, but then they pretty much just let the local kids run the place all weekend, and it's a bit of a shit show. So it's like, you know, and plus the weekends are a little busier already. So it's just, you know, it tends to get a little more backed up and stuff like that. You go during the week, especially in the mornings, it's dead. Same people work it all the time. And she got me to get the car. And then I had this card forever. And I mean, I buy all my ammo, everything at Canadian Tire. So I get a lot of stuff there, parts. So she got me to get this card, and I just had it on my keychain. But whenever I forgot my keys, I couldn't get the points because I've never registered the card.
Oh, okay. Because you can usually go back with receipts and stuff and get them added and all that if you miss.
So I finally registered it, and I was like, "You have $197 or something like that in Canadian Tire money."
Wow.
So I went and bought the polisher that was on sale because of the red boat, dude. I just did all that either by hand or with the little one that goes on the end of your drill. That's
one I was asking you about, because that's when you cleaned the light.
That's the one I did the headlights with. Yeah. You know what I think the problem with the windshield, it was like in there. It's like it was.
I don't understand what you mean.
Almost like a fog throughout it. So it's like you're buffing it, but it's just not getting any clearer.
So is it because it's layered it's like 2-layer or 3-layer, and it's stuck in between the layer? It's condensation in the middle of the window? Like it's not even
a thing that happens with plexiglass. It's like I think it's a cheaper material than the headlights. Because I was even asking the AI, like YouTube, checking stuff out, trying to figure out what are my options here. And it was like plexiglass ain't like quite like the headlights. If it gets the fog throughout it, the UV, especially from sitting out in the sun, which is basically the problem I'm dealing with, it's just been sitting out in the sun. It just sort of gets it throughout. It's been sitting in the sun for 50 years, you know.
It's hardly even plexi anymore. It's just like barely. So can you? And there's no chance of finding a secondhand one, I guess, right? Or
I can make one.
Buying a new one. I mean,
I can make one easy enough. I just don't want to
make a window for it, a windshield.
Yeah, you would just like. I mean, I couldn't make one identical to the one that's in there, because the one that's in there has this weird like bubbleness to it, so it's like bent in a bunch of different directions that you don't really need to do. But I could take that out and just make a cardboard one that's in there and do it like that. And just like, because once you cut the cardboard to fit inside the window frame, then I would just cut the plexiglass out to match the cardboard, and you just sort of run it down the middle. I mean, the stuff I'm doing the windshield with on this orange boat, dude, I don't even need to heat it. I can just bend it into the frame and glue it in there, and then put some screws in the bottom to hold it. But this is probably only like 3 or 4 mil, maybe. I don't think it's not a 1/4 inch. If you went much thicker, but I was watching videos because I was going to do it. I was watching videos of dudes fucking doing it. Where you just see, I've got a heat gun, so you heat it up in the corner and it'll just bend around, and it's already cut to shape, so it just pops into the frame, and then But I'm fucking sick of this boat, man. And it's just another $100.
Yeah.
And it's not bringing the price up $100. I really don't think at this point, because you don't really use the windshield in a little boat like that. Like, you know what I notice even when I'm out of my boat,
It's just a block. You're not
I'm
looking
constantly
through it. Right?
above the windshield.
You're not looking through it. Yeah,
No,
as
it's like
much
if
as you'd
it's
think.
raining or something, or
Yeah.
if you need to get out of it. But I'm not, even in my boat, I'm like never looking out the windshield. I'm always on my knee up over it or looking up over it somehow, it seems like. But I mean, if it was my boat, I would do the windshield. If it sits here and I get bored, maybe I'll do the windshield. But it's plexiglass ain't cheap.
No, nothing's cheap. I mean, really, nothing is cheap. Everything adds up.
It's like $100 for a sheet, which you might get 2 windshields out of. You know, there is that. You could throw the other half sheet behind the shed or in the shed and just wait until you need another windshield down the road. The thing is, almost all the windshields are glass. It seems like that's the only plexiglass one I've come across. So I don't know. I'm just not doing it. But I did get a trailer for it because we couldn't get a VIN, and they wanted $250 plus this. It was going to end up being like $400 to get the government. Actually, I think it's a private company that's got a monopoly on trailers. But basically, they come to your house, inspect the thing, bill you $250 so you can get a VIN. And you got to go to the registry and jump through those hoops.
And you got to do that prior to selling. They can't. The person that
I mean, you could do that. It's just like a hard. Like, I mean, you want to talk about a windshield holding up a sale? It's like, who wants to buy a thing that you're like illegally towing? Not illegal, maybe not illegal strong, but it's definitely not totally
certified or whatever.
Yeah. Because it's you might get into trouble if you got into an accident or something, because it's supposed to be under your insurance, but then they're going to be like, well, this fucking trailer ain't registered.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty like
lax as far as the inspection goes.
Alberta for trailers, even in general, but it's just like it's a money grab. They don't really give a fuck about trailers. I mean, I'm driving around trailers, wrong place. That don't matter. It says boat trailer. Who gives a fuck? But nobody wants to buy a trailer with that sort of hanging over it. So, but I found a trailer on Kijiji that had a boat, that had a VIN. So I went and picked that up. It was $100. And then Buddy just gave me the boat and the motor to go with it. And then he just like kept coming out of his garage with stuff. He's like, dude, I got these tubes. He gets a couple of wetsuits. So I got 2 wetsuits that would probably fit the kid.
The guy's just done with boating.
A single person tube.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. He's like, oh, this guy will take all my water sports stuff.
A gas can, bunch of stuff.
What kind of motor did he have? Is that the Tower Power one that he got?
Another 19. Funny enough, same year as this motor that was on that other one. So it was a 1972 65 horsepower Evinrude with a push button shifter that I'd never seen before. It's called like a Shiftmatic or something like that. So you just push the button. Ding, ding, ding. And so I took it. So he's like, I haven't started it in 13 years. So it's like, all right, well, whatever. I'll take it out of here. Worst case scenario, it's a bunch of good parts. But I got it home and I opened it up.
Well, especially if it's a common one, right? Like if it's a common one, you wouldn't want to buy a super
boats. It's like most of those parts would be like when I was just looking at a impeller for my boat just before we started recording, and it's like the same impeller from a 60 or an 80 horsepower Merc right up to a 200. So it's like tons of these parts are interchangeable around, not just like just different horsepowers and everything. So it's just like, from my perspective, it's like I'll strip it down, throw it. Worst case scenario, I strip it all down and throw all the parts in a box. And then when you're working on something, it's like, hey, because you need a part, now you got to order it. You're waiting a few days. It's like that stupid little spring was $100.
But then is this the one that you got going right away? Or?
Yeah, I opened it up. It was clean, dude. I was like, huh. So I was like, I checked the compression on them all. They were all at like 108, which is fine. So I was like, well, it seems all right. I'm just going to try, see if it's got spark. Didn't have spark, but I hooked up. Oh, buddy's going to be pissed about the repair talk. But I hooked up I hooked up the controllers and I just turned the key on because you assume that the keys in this shit don't work half the time. These ones, dude, I just turned the key on, got spark. So I hooked up gas to it. And then I was like, man, I'm just going to try turning the key and see. So I just turned the key. The fucking electric start key turn worked just right out of the gate. The thing fired up. Then a minute or two once I got fuel in there. I didn't even pull the carbs off, dude. I just I'm gonna put some new plugs in it. I just filled it up, nothing leaked. Started it up, runs, shifts, runs like a top, dude. It sounds amazing.
Wow, good. That's a huge get.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
maybe you might just need to like put that on another boat one day.
I don't even have to. So then that orange boat, the floor is rotted out of it, but I was like, man, the hull's pretty good. And he had like sanded all this red paint off of it. So it looked, but not in the seams and the corners. And I thought it was a primer. But then I just got to looking at it. I'm like, man, I swear that they have fucking painted this orange boat red.
Because sometimes they have that red primer for steel, right? Remember the old red steel primer?
Yeah, no, but what happened here, I'm pretty sure, is that they had an orange boat and they painted it red. Somewhere in the last fucking 40 years, this orange boat got, because I started looking at it, I'm like, man, that really looks like gel coat. So I ran the sander over it a few times, got rid of all the red, polished it, and she is fucking shining. So now it's a shiny orange boat.
Oh, what?
And that
So you're saying that the paint came off, but the gel coat stayed, the original?
painted over the gel coat.
Oh, okay. Wow. And that ended up staying.
So there ended
I
up.
wonder why
It's
they
like
would
when you
want to.
pull up a carpet and there's hardwood underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you want to cover up that beautiful orange?
I don't know. It is a beautiful orange. I mean, it's a nice orange and it's got a nice chrome horn and a bunch of chrome features on it that were all in the box that he gave me. So now I've got all the new pieces back on there, and then the steering. I was like, well, what's going on with the steering? The steering wheel's off and all this. So then I take the steering wheel. I'm just playing with it and it popped back in and I bolt it on and the steering works. So I'm like literally at the point now where I'm going to rip the floor out of this thing, which takes a couple hours, put a new floor in it, which takes a couple hours, take it for a lake test. And if that's good, then I'll carpet it and throw it up for sale.
Nice.
It's a nice little boat.
That's a good one. How big is that?
It's either 15 or 16. It's noticeably bigger and more sturdy than the red one. Buddy said the last time he drove it 13 years ago, he was getting like 35 miles an hour out of it.
So are these boats that you would pull for skier? Like, is this a beginner ski boat type thing?
It comes with a tow. I would not tow anything with the red boat. It's so light. I mean, the beauty.
Oh, no, not the red boat. No, I don't mean the red boat. I mean this
you
boat.
could tow. It's got a little mini tow bar in there. Like it's a little thing that goes around.
What year is that boat? What year is that one?
I'd have to look it up, but the motor's a 72, so I'm guessing the boat's around the same time. I just sent you a couple pictures of it. You're gonna love it. If you like the red one, you're gonna like. I think you'll like this one even more.
Well, that's because the red one just looks cool. It's
gonna take forever because my internet sucks for some reason. Because why wouldn't it? Oh, we should mention. I mean, we didn't mention on this show. We did a segment of it on our America Outlawed Roundup show, but our hearts still do go out to everybody in the No Agenda community.
Oh my God, yeah. It's been a really weird week. Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, of course, Adam and all them, the Dvoraks, everyone that loves the show. I mean, losing Buzzkill's a big one. It's like my favorite podcaster, I think.
Yeah, John C. Dvorak has left us at 80. I thought he was younger. I mean, I really
was lying about his age. I didn't listen to the what's it called episode? The memorial episode. Figure it's just going to be a bit much. But I'd seen some posts that were alluding to a reveal that maybe he had been lying about his age.
Yeah. there's the X, just there's so many people online, like people connecting and people following each other who, weren't before because of John. And lots of people. He's been getting a whole bunch of traction online there. It's been very strange.
Yeah, it's a real shame. But what are you going to do, I guess? It was just, I thought we had a few more years. I thought we'd get at least the 4 more years they kept talking about. I mean,
I saw an article called The Last Analog Man. Perfect description.
Anyway, what day is it today? The 28th. So, but did you see the pictures?
Let's see.
We do need people to support the show over at grimerica.ca/support. Sign up for a monthly or make a one-time donation. It's the only way we keep this show going. And if you guys don't support it, it's going to be tough to keep the show going. We didn't make it this far to shut her down. So we need some people to support the show. We do have, I want to thank.
Oh, yeah. Cute. Yeah. Cute. Awesome.
Cute.
Yep. Cute.
The horse.
I like the red one better.
You do like the red one better?
Yeah.
Well, you could buy it, buddy.
No.
We do have, of course, Lord Paul, sort of the Scandinavian, to thank this week for another one-time donation of $22.22. So thank you for that, sir. That's all we got this week. So I think you guys could do a little better than that.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah. Please help us stay ad-free, value for value.
Ad-free, value for value. It's the only way to go. Sign up today for a monthly, make a one-time donation, come on a trip with us, get some audiobooks. I think that's it. Anything else for the lazy rambling section? Any other housekeeping to take care of? It's been hot.
No, I think that's it.
I think that's it. Do you have a bio for Frank?
No, we already did it. We already said it at the beginning. Yeah.
Well, check it out. Disclosure in Mackinac. Check out Frank's stuff. Support the show. And most of all, enjoy the chat with Frank Rogala.
Mortals of Earth, we are back with Frank Rogala. Last time we got to know you a little bit, it was about 7 months ago. This time we're going to have a little bit of an update on like what you've been doing for the last 7 months. Crazy. Welcome back to Grimerica.
Great to see you guys, man. And,
yeah, good to see you too.
I was like, just a big thrill for me to kind of really get acquainted with your whole world. And, too bad it took me being on your show to figure that out.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. Where do I start? Okay, well, I just got back from Italy. Trevor Grassi and I went there to help the unveiling of the data regarding the second Sphinx. And the last time it took them a month before they were able to get it all translated to English. And there was so much disinformation that happened in that time. And it was infuriating because I have a really behind the scenes understanding of how the technology works. And to see people who have no basis, no background, no understanding, go up and just discount it was infuriating. And at the time I was on Easter Island with like whatever they call internet there, trying to like respond. I was so angry. And what happens is the way things work, the way information works these days, this is kind of what my book is about, is that it congeals into this like massive garbage. And when now somebody else does a search for Beyond scans or Beyond protocol or Khafre pyramid scans, they get all this crap like, well, Zahi Hawass says that it can't work and it's impossible and it's fake and blah, blah. And Zahi Hawass doesn't even read his own book. I mean, how is he an expert? But yet this is served up in this amalgam of data that comes in our new information system that's wonderful, that we're all tapped in together. And this actually kind of ties to why I ended up writing the book that I did, which it's basically a new way to restructure the way we use human knowledge. And what happened was it just by a series of things traveling to different places, speaking to it started when I started hanging out with Mayan elders because they still have some of their language left. And to some of it, it's just like incantations of things they're repeating and they're not, these old languages are pretty much lost. There's fragments of them that remain. And what they are, what's different about them is that there's encoding. And like, for instance, if you see a tablet that's got Mayan information on it, in the top corner will be a symbol that will be like the day of the year, and it'll also have other. It colors what everything else is. It's like a code for everything else, and then it lays out the rest of the message. Now we basically speak in yes, no, right, wrong, true, false, debunked. Especially lately, this is the way information goes, and we all. I probably told you this last time, but this is an important point that we all know things that we were told that were wrong that we now know are right, and we all know things that we were told were right that we now know are wrong. And it's some of it's honest, some of it's just discovery. But basically, the knowledge is not static, but that's the way it's handled nowadays. And actually, I have like a little video. Let's just try one, all right? That kind of demonstrate that. Yeah, this is kind of like this is the introduction on my webpage for the book, and it kind of gets you the first step. So we're going to just get this out of the way and figure out how we're going to give you my entire screen, and then we're going to go over here too. All right.
So was George over there too? We over there with George Howard?
George was sitting right next to me. I had met him before, but I didn't have a chance to hang out with him. He's something. Yeah, I really enjoyed George. And actually, I'm going to be talking with him on Wednesday. We're going to be going over the information from the Second Sphinx, and also he's coming to the conference too. So, okay, so we've got an entire screen, share. Here we go. All right.
Oh, that might be your other one. Oh, is that the one? Okay.
What's that? Can you see it?
Yep. Yeah. It's just it wasn't the first. It wasn't the book one that you originally showed us. It was the other.
Oh, okay. One. Yeah, yeah. This is just the original video for this explains the purpose for the book, and so it's only about a minute long, so let it play here.
Can you turn it up?
No audio. You'll probably have to reshare it and put also share audio.
Oh, it's not giving me audio. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, you're gonna get me trained yet. Okay, we'll stop that. And audio. All right, I don't see how to share the audio.
Yeah, the best thing is just to stop and start again. And when you first go to share the screen, it should say down in the bottom right corner there, it should say also share audio.
Ah, okay. There we go. It looks like I turned it off, but we'll see if it works different this time.
Yeah, Riverside is retarded. I mean, honestly, it's just like one thing after another with this platform.
All right, this might be a little loud. I'm going to turn it back a little bit because I crank it. So, do you hear that?
No, you'll have to reshare your screen. We can't see it now.
Okay. All right, so let's cancel that. We'll share again. We're going to do the entire screen, and we're sharing the sound system. Oh, okay. Now I got a pop up. There we go. All right. And it says entire screen, and it says share. So hopefully you're seeing that. Are you seeing it?
Don't see nothing yet. Is there someplace to hit okay?
Yeah, it's the share is not is grayed out. So let's do it again. We'll go share. We'll go entire screen. Hit the audio system, and it's like not giving me a way to. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. There we go.
There we go.
All right. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I crank my audio because I know how. So here we go. This is how we organize knowledge. It all flows along this narrow stream of widely accepted and established methods, wisdom, procedures. It's so rooted, intrinsic, and ingrained that we just participate and cooperate and think within this narrow line without question. Anything that doesn't fit inside this line might be called an anomaly or a mistake. And generally, it gets ignored. This structure got us to where we are today. This structure is destroying civilization. What can save us? Let's talk about a new model, a new system based on one of nature's most durable and ubiquitous foundational structures. Okay, so
is that a dodecahedron?
It's a toroidal structure, which is basically, now that they've actually found that the universe itself is toroids feeding into toroids, and when you get down to fundamental particles of energy, it's basically motion. It's like if you stop it, there's nothing there. It's the motion of this shape, right? And so what happened was I'd met enough people that had incredible work that was groundbreaking, that was earth-shattering, that would change everything, that were completely ignored. And like kind of the last straw was this thing would happen with Filippo Biondi, because if you have half a brain, a Google search will not show you what something that is new, a groundbreaking protocol is not going to be embedded yet. So, if you're a keyboard researcher, you're going to look up and go, oh, well, it just says it can go 17 meters under the ground. So there's no way it can look under half a mile, but okay, if you look a little further and you look at his information and you realize he's written like 80 papers, he's like the leading guy on earth who understands this technology, and he's not using it for the radar. He's using it the radar to read seismic signals of the earth moving on microscopic vibrations, and then interpreting that through filters and denoising it. And he's done known structures, and it all lines up perfectly. And
and he doesn't have like a financial incentive. He does have a financial incentive, but his financial incentive has nothing to do with the pyramids. If anything, this is hurting his, or at least that was my understanding. Is like talking about the pyramids is hurting his business case, when his real business case is all these other applications, energy, oil and gas. I don't know the ins and outs like you do, but it's like all this, when we're talking to George, he's like, all this pyramid shit is hurting his bottom line. If he really cared about, if all he cared about was money, he would just shut the fuck up and go sell it for what it's supposed to be sold for.
Yeah. Okay. So when you get to know the guy, it's like he's walking around with this Christ energy, right? He's just like giving this. It's philanthropic. We ended up putting a private conversation. We had a Zoom conversation, Trevor and I did, and it wasn't intended for the public. And Trevor said, we're getting all this crap about Filippo. Let's ask him if we could put this conversation up, because we were basically saying, look, we need to raise some money. You're taking time away from your family. You're taking, your own computer, and, we need to get you some kind of a salary or something to do this. And he's like, no, it's philanthropic, this is, and he won't take any money. And the limiting factor right now is that it takes an incredible amount of processing. And a lot of this laboratory software has been written, and they write on top of it, and they write on top of it, and the kernels become kind of outdated. So you've got a computer system that this was originally based on that uses like maybe one core, right? Now we got multi-core and hyper-threading and all this extra RAM and stuff, and it doesn't take advantage of it. And so we were we're working on setting up a global supercomputer, with distributed computing for him. So I was trying to get an idea of exactly, how the software worked and what parts of what was stressing it. And when he told me the name of it, I looked it up. I was like, oh yeah, that's some of that old crap, But just when I saw him in Italy, he said that they completely rewrote it in C++, and now something that would take like months they can do in 5 minutes. So I've got to actually touch bases with him again, because I said, like, I just need to go to your garage and watch these working and look and see what's, where the choke points are. Then we can figure out what to do to help you. And
and it's not as simple as like using Claude or something like that, because there's a bunch of proprietary stuff on there, right? That you wouldn't want to give to them.
Yeah. So whenever you work with his stuff, it's like NDA kind of stuff, because it's extremely dangerous. You don't want like Iran scanning our underground military, installations, miles down, right? No, China, Russia. So you have to be very cognizant that this is very dangerous stuff, and we're very careful. Like the thing was, we would never have gotten anything out of Egypt if they didn't have the balls to have done this. And what broke my heart, and I don't know if anybody's heard this yet, but they announced at this press conference they're stopping everything in Egypt because they do all this work, and some of it took years to run this stuff, right? And they get no access, and then they just get shit on by Zahi, right? And Zahi's like, I hear things, his hair's on fire about all this, right? They know that second Sphinx was there. They know everything, right? And so, Trevor's got a couple of videos coming out in the next couple months that they're going to be real excited about too, about some things that he uncovered. And what happens is they start running these disinformation campaigns about anybody that we have, that really is trying to uncover things. Oh, like there was a complaint filed that Trevor was doing unauthorized, archaeology or digs or whatever, which is completely BS. But it has to go through the system. And then, somebody, and a lot of this is jealousy. Some of the people that have been there, they get jealous if somebody gets attention, right? And but the thing is there are other places that can be scanned. Like if you want to do something in Mesoamerica, Guatemala, Mexico, those countries, it's pennies, right? You do something in Egypt, it's years and so much money, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with anything kind of corruption or anything. But so what's happened is they put years of work into this, and they can't show you the proof or the reality of it. And there are lots of other spots that are at risk on Earth, for instance, Gosford glyphs in Australia. So one thing I just learned this is in my book now, that Mohammed Ibrahim, basically he has been to school. He spent years, studying every piece of, artifact in the Cairo Museum. And he's out every day, in these temples, and he's reading the hieroglyphs. And the hieroglyphs are just not like, you look up in a dictionary, you say, oh, this means this, because there's different periods, right? And they have this Middle Kingdom, this is Old Kingdom, this is, anyway, at the Gosford glyphs, you look up anything on that, this is another pile of garbage that happens from the massive wave of internet disinformation. And it says that, it was graffiti. And there was actually a big stone, when the big stone, when they pile stones, they're all over the
menhir or a. Oh yeah, I know what.
There's another name for it. Yeah. Okay, we'll think of it when we, everybody knows what we're talking about, the big stones, right? Anyway, they blew it up and let it fall down like on these carvings, and they said, oh, we didn't damage anything, whatever. Anyway, so Mohammed Ibrahim, if you look it up on Wikipedia, it says an amateur Egyptologist, which I don't know anything further than the truth with him, other than he doesn't have a bunch of letters behind his name. But the man has shown me incredible stuff that you're not going to find in a textbook. But one thing that he told me was that if you're going to do graffiti and you're going to look up, these symbols and what they've been interpreted as, because you got it's not just the Rosetta Stone. There's other things that have been, there's another one that's actually in the Cairo Museum that's even more important than the Rosetta Stone that has given us some of the meanings, but we don't have all the meanings of all the hieroglyphs. The way that now we find meaning of hieroglyphs is that if you find two of them in different contexts and you know what's around them, you can interpret them. And I was actually able to see him discover one of those in front of me. It was like his wife had noticed it on a vase, and they had been studying it. And then we saw it in a corner of the Osirian, in the back of that tunnel. And it actually translated. I'm going to do a whole video on this because it's pretty amazing, especially the sound of the pyramid. Like, how does a pyramid make a sound, right? Anyway, getting back to the Gosford glyphs. So he said that the crazy thing about that was, okay, in the English language, we have do, not, and then we say don't. It's a contraction, right? And so we kind of naturally do that. Well, if you're natural at writing hieroglyphs, there's a similar thing. This is the closest metaphor I can make, where it was like a contraction made with hieroglyphs that is not in a book, that only somebody who was expert at this would know what it was, and it's on the Gosford glyphs. So, I mean, and that is like slated to become a smart city of all things, right? They want to clear it, and they actually found stone that was carved that has a star map. There was an indigenous tribe there that it was their most sacred land, and the woman who was the ancestor that was holding on to it, they did a DNA search on her, and yeah, it lined up. But then there was a second one that cost, for some reason, $500,000. They were talking tribal people. They couldn't come up with the money. There's a time limit. Boom, they give it to another tribe that's corrupt, and they sign all the papers away, right? So this indigenous land we know there's underground structures there. We know that the Egyptians were there. It doesn't fit any timelines. These things are not an accident, the way that they try to keep us from understanding that there was a global, very advanced culture here. I've got a lot of examples of it in my book, but like when you just get out behind and you start looking at things, it's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. You see it. But anyway, so with Beyondy, we can scan this, and because we know there's tunnels and there's structures there, and there's sites like this all over the world. There seems to be an underground component when you get into these ancient civilizations. So,
yeah,
anyway.
the other challenge, the other challenge, you kind of mentioned it, is when you're doing damage control from Easter Island, is when this stuff happens. When this new information comes out, you're also dealing with these these keyboard researchers and like people like us who, I think that there's a pressure on, whether it's self-induced or not, I don't know. There is an organic thing with everything that's happening now, where everybody feels like they have to weigh in on stuff, and that can start snowballing. So, even people we know or whatever have to weigh in on these these Giza things, and I think it creates this sort of viral it could be like a debunking, or maybe it can be the opposite sometimes. And then we have to wait for it to settle down so we can sift through all that bullshit as well. So there's not only like that, what your video showed, where there's this mainstream line and if it falls out of there, but now we're dealing with this other non-mainstream thing that can also throw everybody off the scent, by organically or purposefully.
It becomes a feedback loop of this echo chamber of disinformation, and it becomes imprinted, and then it gets ranked, And you're exactly right. That was actually part of the point of Trevor and I going to Italy, because the last time they did the press conference, it took them a month to get it out. And by that time, all this crap had embedded, right? But little did we know, it was a 3-hour presentation with like 300 slides, all in Italian. And then and it was the life's work of Corrado Maranga too. So and he was very, understandably protective to make sure it was translated properly. So we worked with somebody on his team, and so it's not just as easy to put things in AI, especially when you have like Sakara or words like that it doesn't, it doesn't read, and it was took us about 2 weeks, and we were at it like every day, just going, oh my God, because I promised Filippo that I would do it in Spanish too, and I'm like, okay, but I mean, once we have them, we started off with like an AI translation, and then they went through and corrected it. And now that we have the corrected one, doing it into Spanish isn't so bad. I don't know that I'm going to do all the slides in Spanish, because if they really want to, you can do a screen capture, throw it in ChatGPT and read it if you need to. The thing that was amazing this time, though, is they took into consideration a lot of the complaints, and well, people just didn't understand that basically they're doing slices, right, like an MRI, and then they're interpolating between it, and so they see a blurry picture and they're going, "Oh, pareidoia, that's crazy. How can you see a sphinx out of that?" Right? And what they did this time was like he gave slices and then he rotated them and he showed how they interpolate, and then he also used several like popular AIs too. He said, Gemini, ChatGPT, and fed it in, and it didn't say, what is this? And it came back like 96%, 97%, Sphinx. And, it itself like read it independently of this. But the thing was tantalizing about the Sphinx was, was this buried? Did the dynastics get their hands on it? Because if you're like me, you know that a lot of this stuff is predated them and they were reusing it. And, the Sphinx we see, he's got the tiny little head on it. It looks really funny, right? So everybody has seen already, because we've got the English speaking version out and the Italian version came out with captions as well. But the Sphinx this one's beefy. It looks like, makes the old one look like it's got anorexia. And this one looks like big paws. And I was surprised because I was waiting to see whether the face was human. And they used facial recognition software on it. And there was like, this is also crazy too. Like it had the Fibonacci kind of mathematics that like the Mona Lisa's face has. Like it matched the symmetry of the Mona Lisa, even though it was a male face, but like, the eyes, the nose, and the way that it goes. This sacred kind of geometry like was embedded inside of it. So anyway, so the thing that I didn't also realize, when you go to Italy, Corrado Malanga, he's not well known in the United States, but they're huge following. That place was sold out, 1,000 seats sold out, and they stuck. Trevor and I were in the front row. We got introduced at the top of the press conference, which was like amazing, right? But the getting a sense for how respected this man is, and he will go there. He'll talk about, he's got tests to see if you've been abducted, you've been messed with by ETs. He's got trauma. He's worked up therapies for people that have been through traumatic experiences. One of the big problems that they had with the Western mind, and I've seen it online, is that they will go there with the esoteric stuff. They will go there with the alien stuff, and still people are not paying attention that the Pentagon a couple days ago put out those crazy videos of that weird ship, right? 2023, David Grush, who's an intelligence officer, he testifies under oath before Congress. We've got biologics, we've got craft, right? This stuff is not new. It's just the hypnotism and the programming has been so strong that it's just going over everybody's heads. And I could tell you that it's these other beings are here. They're not just like, some of them are flesh and blood, some of them are not. And there are agreements being worked out, trade agreements being worked out. And people got to start paying attention, because the world is going to change quickly. And it's going to be really terrifying for some people. And it doesn't need to be. That's kind of that's the main message, is like, no fear, right? No fear. We don't need that. That can be used against us. But a big part of my book goes like, who is they? Because we talk about who's controlling things, like what's going on. And there is a they. And let me just kind of preface that by saying, like, I've been to a lot of places now, places where people have nothing, and they're beautiful. They got no teeth, and they're going to give you their last piece of bread and call you their brother, and you feel it, Human beings are amazing. And if you put rats under pressure, they're going to fight with each other, right? But they're, after all the research, going all over, talking to all these people, looking at all of these ancient things, reading these ancient books, comes down to let me go back a step here. If you imagine, we think we know what's going on, and the electromagnetic spectrum, my book, I start off with talking about how limited we are, and my metaphor, I had to find metaphors because a lot of these numbers just mean nothing if I just recite off this number. But if I say to you, look at a sandy beach, it goes on forever, and you take one grain of sand off that beach, that's basically what you're perceiving of what's going on around you. We're blind to everything around us. But some of us have senses, like somebody will walk into the room and you just feel this dark cloud, these energetic attachments that are negative or whatever. And, trusting your gut. And the thing, I was talking to a woman last night who was related to Edward Leedskalnin from Coral Castle, Latvian. And there's a gypsy heritage there that I didn't know about. It was incredible. I made her record how to say his name properly because it's all these extra consonants and stuff in it. Anyway, she was talking about how the old gypsy women would teach them things and they wouldn't tell them why. And a lot of these things have to do with energetic protections. And even she had a ring on, and it was like a tensor, like a Sperling kind of a ring, but it was other metals. And it was a certain way at a certain angle. And this goes way back in their culture. So let me get back to what I'm saying is okay, I have to preface this too. A woman 2 days ago looked me up, drove hours to come and see me. And she had been friends with Preston Nichols and a lot of these Montauk survivor dudes and she found out that she was one as well, because there's a lot of memory stuff that goes on there. And she's got videos online of her talking and hanging out with them. She spent the day with me, and it was probably 3 or 4 hours. I'm like, listen, I got a lot going on. If you don't mind just chasing me around, it's cool. And I showed her some artifacts and we had some discussions. Anyway, by the end of the day, she trusted me enough to tell me some things. And basically, she had been writing books on these subjects and giving speeches. And she had a man kind of show up and buy all her books, be very friendly, get to know her. Got a relationship going. He would go away once in a while to New York. He had some kind of financial job. And they would come back. It would be kind of the same, but strangely different, right? She goes, it was like they didn't get the clone quite right or something, right? This was kind of the first thing that got her. And then she said she was kind of embarrassed to say something intimate or personal. And I said, look, I'm almost 70. Look, I majored in human sexuality. You can't really surprise me. It's okay, So she said, well, it's not natural for a man to, be his part be like this big one day. And then he comes back 3 days later and it's like this big. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, over a period of time, there are things that can do that, but no, that's not normal. Right. And she said, well, then we're getting intimate. And he's like, all of a sudden, it's like he's an Italian gigolo working me over like I've never felt before. And she goes, and I'm feeling like he's much bigger than he's ever been before, right? And so she opens her eyes and it's not a human on top of her, right? And she's just that adrenaline and she pushes him off. And something about his male part had a hook or something and it ripped her open. And he just went sleep. And she went to sleep she said it was 4 hours. She got up and everything in her house that was his was gone. He vanished. Was not anywhere. And she had to go, she bled everywhere. She had to go to the emergency room. Preceding this, she had had 2 pregnancies for 2 months. I don't know if you've ever had a woman that has had a miscarriage. Even after 2 months, it's a full labor. It's a big deal, and it was just gone, right? Anyway, this stuff goes on. This is the first time I had somebody physically sit with me, look me in the eye and see the trauma and feel it from them. But this is not the first place that I've heard this. And these beings, these things are here. They feed off us. They're parasitic. And they also, there's something about our misery and hardship. Like I said, I meet humans. We're like fucking incredible. The way that this world is going is not the way humans would do it. And so,
is that who they are? Is that who they are then?
So it goes back. This goes back. I was in Trevor and I were chasing some information from Edgar Casey, that he had read that there was, a Hall of Records under the left paw of the Sphinx, and we pretty much know where that is, and we're working on that, right? But there's a lot to deal with in Egypt. But there's 2 other places. The other one we're pretty sure is under 4,000 feet of water in the middle of the ocean. But the other one we think is Piedras Negras, which is right. You've got to take a boat, and it's really super dangerous. I mean, there's like gang writing stuff. You can be abducted, you can be ransomed, you can be murdered there. You're in the middle of nowhere. Our boat hit a rock. We broke the propeller once. Where you're in the middle of nowhere. Your phone's not going to work.
Where's that though? Where's that?
It's almost on the border of Mexico and Guatemala, and it's along a river, and it's an ancient Mayan settlement that is just still in ruins, and it's a major settlement
along the Pacific.
No, it's inside.
It's
There's
inland.
a river.
Oh, okay.
It's
okay.
inland. Yeah, it's a river inland, right? And you can look up Piedras Negras, and there's a cenote there. The cenote is these big kind of rock feature where normally they have water, and this is a dry cenote. It's the largest hole on Earth. It's a huge hole, and Trevor's just like that. If I was going to hide something in these underground structures, he goes, that would be the place, and it's completely overgrown with trees. It's super, like, you've got to get equipment. And Trevor's like, wants to go down there. And I may or may not go. I mean, it's like, it looks terrifying, right? And okay, I'm going to circle back. But the crazy thing was, after we had been there, on the way home, I flew back to I was going to my house in California, and I got at LAX. I jump into an Uber, and if you're my Uber driver, I'm going to start conversation. And come to find out, my Uber driver grew up in the jungle at Piedras Negras, had climbed down that cenote as a kid. Him and his friends did. No. There's mammoth bones down there. It's like, how the hell does that happen, right? Anyway, so I'm running around barefoot in the jungle because, I mean, there's only like, poisonous snakes and red ants and army ants and scorpions and all that stuff. But I mean, I wanted to be grounded because, we were with Marco Vagato, and the dude is like super academic, and he's brilliant, and he works really good with the structure. Like if you need to get a permit in Mesoamerica, that dude can get a permit under a freaking church. He's like got the magic touch. So, there's certain conversations, like he just won't have the conversations about the artifacts from Mexico with us. He just will not believe it. Just does not fit the timeline. But the dude's awesome. And so he had set this all up, got everything arranged. And, we're sleeping in tents, like on the edge of this river at night. We wake up in the morning and there's like, crocodile tracks have come through between the tents and stuff. And you're like in the freaking jungle. But as I'm there, the same thing happened in Egypt. Like you cannot pull out a pair of dowsing rods in Egypt and not, they come at you and but I was able to I got into the Sphinx enclosure and was able to do readings all the way around it. And my dowsing rods are pretty deadly, right? So I was able to, like every time, it kept pointing to where we think the records are. Basically, it's not under the left paw. There's a tunnel that goes there, and we could see where Zahid did a bunch of core samples to try to find it, but it's under a piece of private property that William Brown owns that used to be a horse stable. And from the readings that he had done and from the readings that Biondi has done, we know that there's an underground pyramid. It's like the shape of a Nubian pyramid. It's kind of very steep, and the energy readings in that area are just like crazy. But every time I went, I'm like, underground hall records, and it would go. So I'm in Piedras Negras, and every time I'm doing it, it's pointing to this certain, like we had just gotten in, and there was a ruin of a pyramid there, and it was telling me there. And I'm like, this can't be here. I mean, it's huge. It's like, this can't be the first. This can't be it. And Trevor's going, no, there was this guy, and he was here, and he wrote in his book that they found air coming out, and they thought there's underground structure, and it was like over here, we think. And so I'm barefoot, right? This path, for some reason, we had to go in this same freaking path 5 or 6 times, and it was just covered with army ants and red ants. And I'm just like, okay, I'm not here to hurt you. Let me go through like 5 times, And I think I only had one guy like get on my big toe and grab a big chunk off. And I'm like, okay, that's all you get. Leave me alone, right? And I was fine. Anyway, so after all that, we get home and Trevor's looking it up. He goes, that one you were pointing to? He goes, that was the one, So at this point, we're, working on getting the permits, and we'll do a dig there and we'll find the Hall of Records from Atlantis, and there's 3 copies. So, we don't get the one in Egypt. We'll get this one next. But this is what I'm saying is like, the Biondi team, it's Biondi and Corrado Manga, and they've been beating their heads, against the wall trying to get something going in Egypt. And all they get is, Zahi's just completely pissed that they didn't ask his permission in the first place. And then you got our friend, Matt Beal, flies Biondi over in a coach seat. This is a guy who's like 6'4", right? That's like pretty much torture. And then he gives him the unique, very first time he's telling, I know 100% there's a second Sphinx, right? And then, Matt has a polite little conversation with him. Then the next day, for no reason, says, well, I won't be funding, this. Like, Biondi didn't ask him for funding, right? But he has Zahi on, has a polite conversation with this basically known to be criminal, antiques, black market trader, liar. I know him to be a murderer as well, and I'm happy to say that out loud because I have witnesses. I went to the village. I've talked to the people. He's not even careful enough to, make sure he's murdering the right person. He's kind of in Hillary territory there. That's kind of arrogance he has. And, he has him on, and he funds, the Scan Pyramid Project, which, bless his heart, they're doing something. But that went for 10 years. We saw nothing, right? Then Biondi's scans come out. He shows this perfect thing over top of the Grand Gallery, and the shape, the entire geometry of it. And he also showed the other thing that they recently, stuck a camera in and found that other entrance in the front, which he had that as well, right? And his were blurry pictures. And then Christopher Dunn looks at it and goes, that's exactly what I predicted would be needed for a waveguide if this was going to be generating microwaves. Because from the beginning, Christopher Dunn, as an engineer, was looking at this going, this is a machine, these materials, these shapes. And it pretty much when he saw Biondi, I think there's something like 20 structures that he identified inside that pyramid. And the thing about it is now they're talking about, we're going to try to drill. We're going to find it. They don't need to drill. Like, we know where all the passages are. If you look at the Biondi scans, there's entrances. They just bricked over one of the entrances, the Temple of the Birds. That's one of the places Zahi he thought he was going to murder Andrew Collins, and he almost got Richard Gabriel instead. But the word got to him, and they were going to drop him down a shaft because Zahi was pissed about what Andrew was doing,
Is that where, did something happen with Bell and Zahi then where there's going to be some funding for a new project in the pyramids? Was that after that time? Is that the meeting that you're talking about?
He's ongoing. He's ongoing working with Zahi, right? So
okay.
Here's what I see.
Go ahead.
Here's what I see from the outside. You got a Nepo boy from a billionaire family, and he's, in having polite conversations with this, embarrassment of Egypt, right? And they're funding this thing that's basically just dragging his feet. And then he's giving out, basically, what more crappy thing could you say about somebody afterwards? Just like, I won't be funding his research, as if he had asked for it. After he flew him over, it was just a big smear hit job. And, I have no patience for this because I see how information works now. My whole book has been a study of how these systems work, and the system that I come up with, I actually had to file a patent, and now the patent is pending. And I got a notice from the government saying, okay, we're not going to hold it up for national security. I was like, okay, well, that's good, I guess. And then I got another note saying that they recommended that I file the same patent protection in other countries, which I thought was kind of nice, right? So this is not a trivial. This is not some kooky guy telling you his idea for restructuring human knowledge. This basically will reveal disinformation in 2 seconds. You put in September 11th, you put in COVID, and when it comes up on the structure, it's not like it's a truth machine, but you see what corroborates or what pulls together. So my next step is I need to actually create the actual product of this in order to finish the patent. And AI will help with code writing, but there's a lot of stuff already in place that I can use for it. So actually with that, I've got a little bit of a visualization of it that I can show you. If we'll struggle through me playing a video for you again. Okay, so here we go. This is only about a minute and a half long.
Let's do it.
All right, so we're going to entire screen, and we're going to show all. And
is that new shaft the one that they found a bunch of salt in?
Salt's all the way through that pyramid. They did a cleaning. Flinders Petrie saw it back, when he was first there. But there's still places you can go and you can see the salt, and the salt is Atlantic Ocean salt, which, actually the whole first part of the Italian press conference was Carlo Maranga was going through how the pyramids had been underwater for about 100 years and how the wave action, capillary action had removed the other two pyramids were underneath the water. And so it removed and softened and their casing stones dropped. And that the Khafre pyramid is actually taller than the Great Pyramid. You don't really understand that until you kind of see the visualization. And so its casing stones were still intact, but they have they kind of go in a curve like this, right? So
and it looks like there's karst erosion lines all the way down the Khafre pyramid that match the ones on the Sphinx. Even, I mean, it looks like it looks to me like there's evidence of that line on the Khafre pyramid that everyone knows about. That's the high water mark. And then you can sort of see evidence all the way down to the bottom of the Sphinx of that water sort of dissipating. And now what I'd like to check is how those elevations line up against what we know are receding shorelines just across Arabia. It's only a couple 100 miles west of that is where we have receding shorelines in the Arabian Peninsula.
So that there was a paleontologist that was walking when he used to walk on the pyramid. He tripped over something. It was a fossilized sea creature that only lives down to like 40 feet under the water. And so number one, at what point was there enough water over top that sea creature could have attached? And how long did it take to make a freaking fossil, right? So
and what the 100 years, when did that happen? The 100 years when it was underwater, as far as Corrado was concerned.
This would have been probably younger Dryas, and it's actually in the translated press conference. You've got he basically walks you through that all, and he actually has animations of the water and on the plateau. And
yeah, cool. Yeah, Darren's gonna have to check that out. It kind of fits.
Yeah, well, because it lines up with all the dating on the Mauritania slide complex as well.
Yeah, Randall and I were talking about that slide. Like, those things are so crazy traumatic that you can't believe they can make these tidal waves that could just destroy and change, features permanently on the Earth.
Well, it carved a 300-mile-long canyon under the ocean.
Yeah, so you've got all these remnants, and if you just are using critical thinking rather than thinking everything gradually happened slowly over billions of years. So, can you see this?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Civilization, cracking open reality beyond the mainstream veil.
All right, here we go. This is so I had to name this in order to protect it. So anyway, here we go.
Reality is not linear or controlled. It's moving, dynamic, and interconnected. Any structure meant to hold knowledge about reality has to share those qualities. Every idea begins here, at the outer edge. Not because it's wrong, only because it's new and not yet tested. Nothing is turned away. Every node, however faint, is allowed to exist. Every claim that enters the system becomes a node. Every connection is a vote, cast not by authority, but by independent, unaffiliated confirmation. As independent evidence accumulates, the connections strengthen, and the idea is pulled inward. not because somebody approved it, but because the evidence itself has weight. Nothing here is ever deleted. Ideas that lose support don't disappear. They simply drift back, outward, dimmer, but still present, preserved as scaffolding, in case new evidence one day proves them right again. Or perhaps they become valuable in some other unforeseen circumstance. Bias is not hidden here. It's a tool. Slide the lens, and the same evidence rearranges itself into a different shape. Nothing is destroyed, and nothing is stored twice. You are only changing how you choose to look. Watch what happens when you turn that lens on a single mystery. The Great Pyramid. An archaeologist, an engineer, and a mystic each bring their own bias. None of them are deleted from the record. Each reveals something the others miss. Some ideas wait decades at the edge before the world catches up. The structure doesn't rush them, and it doesn't punish them for waiting. It simply keeps them lit and records every new piece of evidence from the moment it arrives. In 2013, a physicist outside the mainstream predicted the size of a proton. For years, the claim sat at the fringe, downloaded, but unsighted. Then, independent laboratories measured the same number for themselves. The idea didn't ask permission to move. The evidence simply pulled it home. This structure does not decide what is true. It has no final answer to hand you. That's why the center is always empty. What it gives you instead is a way to see, to measure, to weigh, to store, and to watch the relationships between everything we think we know. Reality doesn't move in straight lines. It circulates. Knowledge, like the universe it describes, was never meant to stand still, and neither is this.
Okay.
That was fascinating. I mean, that's really well done. Visualization of those theories. And it made me think of how sometimes it takes years for me. Like I'll hear something, I'm just not ready for it to be part of my paradigm or to even accept it as a conspiracy theory. And then all of a sudden, when I look back like 2 years later kind of thing, it's like, oh, I'm there now. But I also wanted to ask you if that has to be, those nodes sort of has to be physical or on the internet or mechanical, or is part of that psychosomatic or an egregore or collective unconscious? Does that all play a part in it too?
So really good question. So this is a lot of things. Now, what happens, you could actually do this with a piece of paper, but I have an incredible reading disability. So for me to write this book was like freaking the worst possible assignment the universe could have given me, right? And so all three of my editors said, this changed the way that I see everything. I sit down, like they don't have this structure. They're not using it, but it changed the way that they started perceiving things, right? Now, the way that you bring up a really good point, because the way that you're going to weight information might be different than the way that I'm going to weight information. And that's important because the reason that the reason that the universe works is because we're all these sparks, right? And we're all equal. We're all from the divine spark, but we all have different locations. And your spark over here has a different point of view than my spark over here. And that's what makes us unique. And that's what makes things work. And that's what we have to acknowledge with any kind of knowledge structure. So let's say, okay, for some people, if there's a paper that comes out of Johns Hopkins University, that might be really important, right? Well, there's some research that I did on native medicine that I looked it up on Johns Hopkins site, and they had done work on it. And what they said was complete bullshit. And I realized that they're compromised and they're inside of this structure that's controlling everything. So my weight for Johns Hopkins is going to be a lot less than maybe somebody else's who's in academia, right? Now, so that's what the lenses are for too, because this bias I'm talking about, that we only see like that tiny grain of sand of what's going on around us. We're this sack of water walking around thinking we know what's going on. it's arrogance. And the thing is that the biases, we're always pretending this is unbiased results. This is unbiased information, which there's no way. Everything is biased. But if you use the biases, if you identify them, you can use them as a tool, as a puzzle to compare. Take the same set of information and put it through a mainstream academic bias, put it through this esoteric bias, put it through this like outsider, physicist bias. Let's put it through Graham's. Graham has his own structure, right? So I want to make this open source. So as you're using it, it's going to learn and go like, oh, like I think anything that is posted on the main three networks is, CIA crap. So I'm going to devalue that, but I'm going to put that in my filter as something that is a control. You can wait and change it. It's going to be, there won't be like the big truth machine. It'll be so that you can have it configured on your own phone app. It can be a virtual reality you can walk inside of. I'm going to be doing more visualizations of this where you can walk inside the information cloud and you can see, and you can pull them open too to see like what they're citing, what they're pulling together, what the peer reviewed information is. And you can change these things in real time. So it's going to be, when I just talk about it without having a visualization, it gets to be a little bit hard to handle. So these visualizations of them in digital and AI or whatever are going to be a big help. But ultimately, the next step I have to do is there's some existing software I can use to plug this into, and you'll be able to actually, put on AR glasses and start using it at a rudimentary level. But I mean, even like kids in a classroom, you give them a project and they've got a toroidal structure that's biased towards helping them figure out like what would be involved in cleaning up this park in the community and what do we have to deal with and what are the laws and what are the regulations and what are the costs and things that you can preload them, you can specialize them. Although ultimately specialization is one of the things that's blinded us to, the overall reality of how things fit together. And I think that this will take a lot of forms. I was in Cambodia with Praveen Mohan, and one of the guys on the trip had sat at the table with Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer when they were studying Microsoft, right? And this is a brilliant guy. He left the company and didn't drink the blood or join the cabal, right? But he had a lot of experience with brilliant people and patents. And I said, dude, I've got this patent. And I said, I have a horrible reading disability. And there's all this math. Because what you just saw there is in order to put that into a patent application, there's a lot of math going into how this relates to this with this filter and all this. So I had it pretty much together, but I needed a smart person to look at it. And so sent it to him and he was like, damn, he goes, with the markets, you could make so much money with this. This is incredible. And I said, well, that's cool. You can use it for that if you want to. I just did it to break the matrix, but if you want to use it for that, go ahead, But it's we're so used to this. It comes from the language on up of yes, no, right, wrong. And it's gotten worse with the internet now,
Yeah. We thought it would be better, but it's getting worse. It's more polarized. So, but Darren will remember.
Might sort out, though.
What?
It might settle out. It might just be like when you dump a bunch of water into some like your fish tank. If you got a fish tank, especially with a sand bottom, and the water gets low, and you dump a 5-gallon pail in. If you dump it really slow, you can maintain the clarity of the water and not disturb the bottom of the tank. But if you just fucking dump the pail in, it hits the sand at the bottom and it just, foundation and just stirs everything up. So it's muddy. So I guess I just hope that eventually with maybe even the AI, it can find some level of clarity. Because I feel like these AI, these large language models are going to be unbiased in a way that traditional academia and archaeology haven't been able to attain. So it's going to take the Randall Carlson stuff. Maybe they can put some
filters
or some guardrails on some of it. But Frank's going to have one of these in his fucking garage and he's going to be doing his own thing. And it's just going to eventually get to the point that it could get rid of all the dogma. It could be a way of looking at all this sort of past history and not be dogmatic about it. Or it could just turn into a giant fucking control mechanism.
Well,
I can see little blurbs of it, like wanting to let certain things out sometimes. Like, I mean, Roger Cunningham, the ethical skeptic, has had amazing luck working with ChatGPT, fucking testing his theories off of it. I mean, pretty soon Grok's just going to say that this is what happens, it seems like, or some version of it. Like, eventually it's going to come to some determination and start being able to say, instead of like right now, it feels like it just calls everything bull crap to a certain extent. Like, there was something the other day that we were fact checking and it was just like, I forget what it was now, but it was something that Graham and I both thought were just like sort of common knowledge, but more political sort of thing, political common knowledge. And it was just like, nah, man, that's not happening. You're crazy. Here's the Snopes link that proves it.
Well,
Okay,
I want to
yeah.
mention before Frank goes again too, is I had this visualization of this thing. Darren, you will remember. I was driving back and forth all the time from Calgary to Saskatoon, and it was probably during COVID. But my sister works in virtual reality, and I was thinking about exactly what you said. So you put on these VR glasses, and you'd have this like data represented as, here's your organizations, and here's the people that belong in those organizations, and here's all the other organizations that connect to that. So it wasn't as much about sort of like consciousness and reality, but it was a way to physically map everything that's tied together, and you could pull on it and tweak it, and different shapes would signify different types of organizations or whatever it was. And I had this whole thing and I couldn't let it go for a while. It was like stuck. I was like, oh man, we need that thing. And since then people have made certain tools, but yours is probably visually the most accurate to that I had a few years back.
Well, so you're just mentioning, I've seen the guy that canceled this, whatever his name is, he's uses something similar to that, where where it ties things together. Darren, I love metaphors. That was a brilliant metaphor. Because here we are talking about too, is you were talking about, pouring it slow, right? Rather than gushing, right? And, and it has a difference because the faster rate creates more mud, right? So this is what I've noticed, because I was very hopeful about AI, but I just in the course of writing my book, I would use it, to do fact checking. I didn't use it as my fact checker because I didn't trust it. And I would pit them against each other. I'd pit, Claude against ChatGPT against Grok, and it was pretty effective doing that, by the way. The thing is that they have started in a really messy way to use the cloud of crap as part of their results. And I got that from just recently, the Biondi stuff. It was using Zahi as a source, and I'm like, what? And then so I don't back off. I'm like, listen, you got a guy you're giving me as a source who has no background in this, and blah 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 blah, and then it'll backtrack, right? And then I'll try to give it guidance and think that maybe on the back end it's going to remember this, right? But I've noticed, because I would put something in, write it out, and say, help me clarify this, give me grammar and clarity and give it back to me, right? Because I hallucinate letters, dude. Anyway, it would change what I said. It would, I'm saying something because I know 7 things that I can't say, but I'm saying this as a fact because I know it's true, and it would hedge it. And I'm like, I didn't ask you to hedge it. I asked you to check the grammar, right? And it's like, well, Drago Reed, he's one of the guys that, he does QHHT, and he's, remembers program stuff from the military and things, whatever. He said, when you use AI with your book, it's like co-writing with the CIA, So, I mean, I just didn't let anything touch anything over here, right? I would put a piece in, look at and read it, and then, change it here, because I'm telling you, behind the scenes, I've seen things happen over the last 3 years where they're tweaking it on the back end, and they're like Snopes, freaking Snopes, right? There's these glasses which saved my life. This color of glass, which we've talked about before, and it's in my book too. The woman that invented it, not only did they try to put her in prison, for colored glass that saved my life. But Snopes calls it fraud. What do they call it? Quackery, right? They can measure the brain. They can tell when I put these glasses on, I take these glasses off, my whole brain is lit up and my immune system shuts down and I'm going to die, right? I put these on, the whole brain calms down and I can have depth perception and I can write a freaking book, right? So we've got this embedded system of disinformation, and I'm telling you, it's not. It's so well crafted that there doesn't have to be a guy back there going, well, let's do this. It's built into the system, and it's and I'm telling you that there are. It's a spiritual war. There's like these. Okay, so let me get back to Marco Vagato, because here's our straight-laced academic dude, right? And but he wrote a book called The Stages of Atlantis, and he's gone through all these ancient writings and basically will tell you about, there was this Atlantis and there was a cataclysm and then they rebuilt and there was this one. Pretty much I ran this past him. I said, okay, Marco, this is kind of what I'm getting from everything I'm seeing, is that, because he said there was a break-off civilization from one of these previous civilizations that got very dark. They were doing these rituals. They were doing, sacrifices. They were evoking these other dimensional kind of things that for all kinds of selfish reasons, right? Thing is, like, when you do this, you become their prisoner. It's like, you get something, but then you're forever trapped in this crap. Anyway, so they were actually doing genetic stuff. They were mixing, like human or humanoids with animals for sexual reasons, all kinds of twisted, crazy ass stuff. And I will tell you, like, I speak these things with confidence because, like I said, sitting in front of me here, okay, they got this stone. Okay, pulled this out of the ground, like, has an age of 17,500 years old with 3 different ways of checking it: thermoluminescence, ceramic, magnetic, and carbon dating, right? Okay, what is that doing? And this is not the only one that I've got a DNA on. I've got probably 6 of them that show it, and it's not the only one like that. So, and these artifacts in Egypt, when they find them, they'll blow something up, they'll murder people to hide them. So it's an ongoing thing. We're not supposed to know this. These guys are behind the scenes. They survived the last cataclysm. The good guys did too. And from what I've been able to tell from friends, I have a friend who literally went into the middle of the jungle with a couple guys with loincloths, got to this like dimensional bubble of one of these surviving positive parts of Atlantis, whatever, and saw like in real life a unicorn, like a freaking unicorn. And I'm like, I had so many questions. I'm like, okay, was it dirty? Was it white? What did the horn look like? What did it have a spin? And anyway, but the bad guys are the ones that took over everything and they're running everything. And that's why, there's always a war, there's always, and they're pretty much psychopaths. Right? And I know one person personally, and the other person I know of, you guys would know too if I said their name, that have actually had a meeting, right? Like, let's go see if we can reason with them, right? And it's basically pretty much the top level elites, a lot of them, but there's a very small number of them that run this stuff. And the one person was on an island, and he was so traumatized by how psychotic they were, how little they cared about us, that he was going to swim off the island. He would have died. It was like, not a place you could get to without, the currents and everything. And my other friend had to talk him out of it. But these things are really hard for people to believe. They're really, and that's for a reason. It's on purpose. But the more we become aware of it, we actually have a lot going for us. It doesn't take a lot of us to be able to handle them. But our awareness and our consciousness is crazy powerful. There's experiments that I've in my book. It's not necessarily for people that have been in this world. It's for everybody who thinks something's not quite right and they don't know what's going on, and it takes them through a lot of it. I'm not just talking a bunch of crazy stories in there. I'm giving them stuff they can look up, things they'll remember. I give a big list of Mandela effects because I found you can find the right Mandela effect, you blow somebody's mind right open. They're just like, what? No, there's no way. It said mirror, mirror on the wall. It didn't say magic. You find the right one and bang, that's your way in. And once you start doing that, you can it opens up in layers. In fact, the woman I met the other day that came to me from the Montauk Project that had been through this horrible experience, lived in South Africa and knew Winnie Mandela, was there like when Nelson Mandela actually died. And then all of a sudden he's like in prison and he comes up and becomes president. She was like, it was like the root of the Mandela effect walked in my door and told me about it, So, yeah. Anyway.
So is that the lady that talked to you about that Nordic or that alien sort of encounter that you had, that sexual encounter?
Yeah,
the Nordic? Is that the Nordic one that you were talking about before we started?
No. Okay. So hang on. No. It's a good, because I totally forgot to talk about it. I have this conference in less than 60 days that came out of nowhere because of this story you just brought up that we kind of stopped because we start talking before the camera rolls and we're like, wait a minute, we should just do this, Okay. So JP, Jorge Paban, Michael Sala's got several books with him, and when you meet him, he is just a dude, man. He is such a soldier, and he doesn't have, I mean, I'm not saying this in any kind of like derogatory, but he's just not the kind of guy that has an imagination to make up crazy shit. He's just a basic dude. And he was talking on a podcast about, he gets a feeling in his gut because he'll get a text message. He'll have to go out. They'll say, wear your blacks, bring this, blah, 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 blah. And some dudes will pick him up in the van. He doesn't know where he's going. They'll take him someplace. They'll go on some crazy ass mission where he'll fall asleep. He'll wake up. He'll be in some underground catacomb, or he'll be in probably in Antarctica, or could be on another planet. There's crazy stuff going on with our military and the programs and he's allowed to talk about some stuff, and he's allowed to talk about this. Anyway, so he gets this feeling in his gut. He's developed like, okay, I am not on the earth anymore. Like, I am not on the surface. I am under the, he gets this feeling, right? So he's in his house and he gets a feeling like something's going on out there. He's got woods behind his stuff. He walks out there. There's a ship that's landed, and there's a dude, Nordic dude, standing there, and gives him a pine cone. And he said, when he gave him the pine cone, it was this look he gave him like, here's some bullshit for you, like, here you go, but at the time he was talking about it, he speaks like 3 languages, maybe 4 languages, and English isn't his first language. So if you hear him speaking, he doesn't sound really articulate, and you don't understand who you're really dealing with if you don't realize, I barely speak 1 language, he's speaking all these. And he said, he called it an acorn. And at the time, I've been involved. Actually, I've got some video to show you of some digs in Mexico, some crazy stuff we found that, like, I've got from the first shovel all the way into, anyway. So I was working with him because when you find these really ancient, highly advanced things, there's dangerous stuff. There's a dust. If you inhale it, you'll get an pneumonia and you'll die. There's things, and we have to bring a lot of instruments and be very careful because these are protected. And there's people that have, like Trevor Grassi seems to be okay. I seem to be okay, but there's people with us that would just get ill when they would get close to it.
What about curses? Curses too, or?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Curses? What about curses?
Oh, curses. Okay. Well, okay. So we always start good one. Okay. We always bring a shaman with us, and we do a ceremony before we do any of this stuff, and we ask permission, and we only ask to be able to find what we're supposed to find, and anyway, that's a really big part of it. These things are to be taken seriously. So yes, that. Thank you. Anyway, so I was in touch with him, and I said, JP, did you mean a pine cone? And he goes, oh yeah, a pine cone. Yeah. I said, well, do you still have it? Oh yeah, it's over here on my shelf, right? I said, well, dude, I got actually, I'll grab one. Hang on.
Don't let me forget that I have Frank's upload shut off.
A pineal cone.
I'm like,
pineal cone.
I got like 3 of these, ancient, like, the dude with the pine cone would hold that and have a bag, right?
What the fuck's in the bag, man?
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's stone and it's all encoded. It's got all this language on it. It's like and images and stuff. And I've got 3 of them. Another one was just found yesterday. And actually, let me see if I can show you a picture over my phone. In the site where we've been excavating. Anyway, I'm like, dude, I got to get you together with my. This is another one that was just found yesterday, and I'm going to try to get that here for the conference as well. So we're bringing a bunch of these artifacts, and so we're going to go out for Skywatch. Now, JP, I've been able to take people out, and you do some things like you synchronize your breathing and stuff, and you put a message out. This sounds crazy, but and the biggest thing is when I do this is I tell the people with me, I'm like, okay, you think this is all funny, but the minute you start seeing stuff, if you freak out, they're going to go away. So you got to just take a deep breath. I'm telling you, this shit's for real. I'm not playing here. Okay. And literally the last time I did it with a friend, she was like, I was so glad you talked me through that because I had to breathe because with 45 seconds after we did it, the star went like, doot, 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 and then stuff happened. Right. And this time for the conference, I'm going to get 4 pair of night vision goggles too, because that'll decloak a lot of them. They have that night vision goggles are basically backwards engineered ET technology from Roswell. When they got to that craft and they stuck their head in the hole, it was pitch black. They didn't have a lot of batteries and lights and stuff, and they could see outside like it was daylight, but it was green looking, right? Anyway, so these night vision goggles, you go on these UFO watches in Sedona or places, you'll see, a dozen to 200 things flying around. And then the plasma, there's a lot of intelligent plasma beings. That's what a lot of these orbs and things are. And they can turn into things or whatever. Most of the universe is basically huge clouds of intelligent plasma. Anyway, all that. So we're going to take the pine cone. And the pine cone, he's had it looked at by botanists, and they go, well, it's kind of like sequoia, but it's not sequoia. And it looks to me like if you've ever seen a jack pine, like a fire has to open them up because they're really tight. Well, imagine like a jack pine cone, like kind of opened up a little bit. And it's only about it's like this big, right? He was showing me, and he keeps it in a little case now, right? And he's got 3 or 4,
Was he supposed
5
to
or
plant
6.
it, maybe?
Okay, he said he thinks he's supposed to plant it in Mackinac. So at the conference, we're going to plant this seed that was given to him from a guy on a ship, right? I mean, this conference is crazy. So, okay, also at this conference, a few weeks ago, Trevor Grassi and me and Sean Bond and Yisa, and we were, and Inez, she was a scientist that worked with Nassim Harman. We were in a dig in Mexico, literally found 1890, Michael Hedges, they found the Michael Hedges skull in a Mayan pyramid. There's a hole. They put a little girl down. She pulls it up. It's this crystal skull. It's traveled all over the world. It's famous. We found 5 of them, like in the same day, right? And they're not human, man. They're like, the heads are, actually, I'll show you. This is, okay, show and tell. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We're going to go entire screen. I don't think we need sound for this. Okay, and we'll go over here to my thing. Okay. Oh, I got a couple things. Okay, this is a few of them. We call these the twins. Can you see it?
Yep.
Whoa.
Okay. Yeah, and that obsidian ball back there we found as well. And then these crystal tablets, they're heavy.
I
had to slide that one. Like you're in
Mexico?
These are in Mexico, yeah. And I've been like all over
that's
this.
The skull, right? That's the skull. That's the teeth. Oh, so it's really long, elongated. It almost looks like one of those alien skulls, like from the movie Alien. So that's the teeth on the right there, and the eyes were holy
with Egyptian hieroglyphs on it.
Yeah, and then but the heads on them are not human. Like if you look, they're elongated. You can see that right here, this elongated skull. I don't know if you see my cursor.
Oh.
Yeah, and then this being down here, let's see if I can get rid of my.
And those are from Mexico?
Yeah, so I've been 200 miles apart in Mexico looking at these. Let me see if I can make that little player thing go away for a second here. Here we go. Okay, you can see the head right here, that elongated head there, and then wings. All of these have elongated heads. There's different styles of elongated heads. Some of them are, you can see this one's a little bit different of a shape. And then we've got one.
Well, there's the alligator,
God.
Egyptian alligator god there.
And then this guy here is like an avian head. He glows green. These tablets are coming to Mackinac. They've got different different things on both sides of them, different scenes. And then you can see the head there is not, it's not a human head. Let me see if I've got a better angle on that. I've got way more pictures of these, but I mean, stuff's been happening so fast, guys. I haven't had a chance. Oh yeah,
see the
yeah.
teeth
And in fact,
they're all crazy.
on the front of them, they have the scarabs, and there's like some of them have 3/3 eyes and across the forehead. Let me see if I've got another one here. I was gonna see. Let's go back to.
So is this Mackinac, right between Canada and the States there, up at the in Michigan, northern Michigan?
Yeah, if you think of Michigan as being like a hand, it's the
it's
okay. Actually, you know what this is. Okay, so yeah, it's right at the very tip. Okay, this is actually okay. Yeah. This is in my glasses. Oh no, actually, this is, you might have seen this. This was when I went 200 miles away from where we just were, right? And I'm using a pendulum and a dowsing rod, and let's make this bigger. And I'm under a huge boulder, and it kept telling me there's something here, right? And there's snakes and stuff, so you're going to see me. Because there's snakes, Make sure there's not a snake.
Holy dude. Wow. He just reached in there and grabbed that?
Yep.
From dowsing it?
Yep.
Is it metal? What's it made of, that one? Rock?
I'll show you here.
Like, so you're just picking up energy. You're not even picking up chemicals. You're picking up energy from that?
Well, I'm basically you're okay. We had a couple of local guides, right? And they we were depending on our translating. I got to learn a few languages here, man, because it's like I'm out and trusting my life with people and I can't even talk to them, And we're it's dangerous. I mean, there's dudes there with body armor and machine guns riding around on 4-wheelers, and you look like you can be ransomed for some money. You're kidnapped, So you're in the middle of nowhere, and the police are worse than those guys are. Anyway, so I have it right here. We cleaned it up. It's now. What I get excited because this is embedded, and then this is embedded. So if I wanted to, I could do thermoluminescence, and I could also do carbon dating on it. But I'm not going to, because I don't need to, because it's so beautiful. I don't want to mess with it. You have to jack it out of there to get it. But I mean, this is a very good example of what these things look like. Every surface of them is got something on it, and very few are depicting anything that looks like a human. And you can tell that there's a lot of artistic work that goes into them, because they've made. I always look at how many fingers there are, that kind of stuff. So what Trevor Hawk is a scientist that worked with Nassim Haramein in his lab, and he was going to come to the conference. There's a conflict now, but I'm going to be presenting some of his work. He took that, and then this are similar material. It looks like stone. It feels like stone. It's not stone. So I've got enough of these, and what the biggest wrap, I got to show you another one. This is something that we hear all the time, because the dates on these go back 8,000, 12,000, 17,000, 22,000. We got some 38,000 years. And people are used to old stuff being like fucked up, like all dirty and messy and whatever, right? And so when they see these and they're shiny, they're going, oh, that looks like you just made it, or it just came out of the mold, or whatever, right? And here, this is a good example of that. Like, okay, so you can see it's shiny. And like, again, not a human, right? And oh, that's so fake, dude. Like, okay, I pulled it out of a hole under a cactus that my dowsing rod told me to, in the middle of nowhere, hundreds of miles, and I'm having to go. dude, like, I know it's hot sun and I know this thing's got pickers all over, but it tells me it's down here, and boom. Well, so what they've figured out is this is a polymer. It's alumina and silicate, and it's aluminum silicate. And you have to put it in a furnace at 4,500 degrees in a very specific blend too. And in fact, if you want to order some of this, get it made today, you can't. It's like really hard to make. Like nobody wants to mess with it, right? But so I go to AI because after Marco Vagata was telling me about these stages of Atlantis, and I'm with Trevor Grassi, we're out looking for the Hall of Records, right? And it's like not a joke to us because these things were left for us to figure out who we were. And I'm tired of like these Knights Templars and Freemasons and the cabal all hiding this shit so they could take it to their own advantage. They find this technology, they keep it. I mean, Tim Hogan will tell you they've got like 6 arcs. They've got, and they those things are dangerous. They can keep them. It's okay. But and it's not just the freaking Vatican. It's like a movie. They had a artifact in Istanbul, and it was buried, and they had it in a diorite box and he wouldn't tell me what it was, but the Vatican was after it. I mean, these guys got like things like they got the jaw of John the Baptist. They've got handwriting of Christ, his handwriting saying he's not only half human, right? I mean, they got crazy artifacts that we are not allowed to see, but if you know who to talk to, you can.
Who Christ is?
And I verified these across. Yeah. He actually says it in his own handwriting on this document that actually Scott Walter is involved in this whole thing, and they've been. Yeah. So anyway, so we're not supposed to know about this because these guys like to pull the shit on us. And like the rule is, if I figure it out, I haven't taken any oaths, I'm going to tell you about it. And okay, so aluminum silicate. So I go into AI and I go, okay, we're going to have a cataclysm. Like I know there's a cataclysm and I want to save knowledge so it doesn't take us 100,000 years to figure out who we are, right? So what stone on earth would I use? What would be the best stone? Or would aluminum silicate be better, right? AI comes back, goes, oh, aluminum silicate all the way. They said it's impervious to hot or cold. It doesn't allow water. Lichens won't grow on it. It won't degrade. It keeps its finish. You can do fine lines on it, for whatever you want to write on it. And I'm like, so I would estimate these artifacts. Now, okay, in these little villages, there's maybe 6 people. Anthony Michael lives in Grand Rapids. He kind of introduced me to this whole world. He's been working with these people down there for years. And when we go down, they just treat you like your family. And it was good because we had to like hide in the back of their cars because if you're from out of town, you're a target. These little they notice everything. And then we had to hide our car in, where they wouldn't see it. So what was I going to tell you? Anyway, so I'm finding these artifacts in Tula, like a cave. Like we found crazy stuff, like crystal, beautiful, and alien-looking things all over them, right? And then too? I get in a plane and I fly 2 hours.
It looks like
north,
you're freezing up, Frank.
And I'm finding stuff there too. And this is like hundreds of square miles, thousands of square miles. I would bet you there are millions of these artifacts. And people that are sensitive, the people that maybe do a little too much DMT, and they read them, they said that they were left for us to remember who we are. I think that these are like a hall of records. I think that it's like Giza Plateau. Right now, Trevor Grassi's got a series he's doing with Gary Osborne.
Well, that's the problem without streaming. I mean, we should probably just stream to Rumble, just
somewhere.
Just somewhere.
Stream somewhere.
Let's see.
Record it off platform.
Studio.
I think it makes a cloud recording. Oh, and he's gone. So this is.
Well, the pine cone. Geez, it's weird. The pine cone from a Nordic. It reminds me of Yggdrasil, right? The one tree. Like, what if you plant it and that becomes the magic tree, the one tree?
With a beehive?
No, not the beehive.
Not one the beehive? Tree. Yggdrasil. Like a beehive?
Yggdrasil.
What'd you say?
Yggdrasil.
Oh, I thought you said something else. Say that with. Say that slower.
No.
I mean, no. When you say it fast, it comes off like a racial slur.
Oh,
Oh, and Frank is back. I don't know what this is going to do to the recording. There we are.
Too spicy, what I was telling you there. All right, so I don't know how that'll play out, what that looked like when I was lost, but the beginning of my point was I had found artifacts. Tula got on a plane, flew 2 hours north, hundreds of miles, more artifacts. I think that there are millions of these artifacts. I know that in Tula, even when they're digging graves, they're finding them, and there are fake ones. But I tell you, you spend a few minutes with these, and you can spot the real ones and the fake ones, because this aluminum silicate, it has a look and a feel to it that they can't fake it. It's too hard to make it, And the other thing too is that Trevor Hawk has found out that when you drill into this, because it's a composite polymer, that he's able to get samples of carbon and actually date it from that as well. So along with thermoluminescence and ceramic magnetic, you've got 3 different ways, actually a 4th one now. So this is aggressively ignored, aggressively not paid attention to, and a lot of disinformation. My friend Anthony gets very excited, and he'll put the videos up, that video of me finding the artifact, and people are just like, "Oh, that's so staged, man," and it's like, okay, this is what we're like I hauled my 7-year-old ass up the side of this mountain, crawled over cactuses, and scorpions and poisonous snakes, and crawled into, cavities and pulled these things out from. We've got 360 video of digging out of the roots of things, and found like a little guy and a little saucer and a little top that goes on it, and then in between the rocks, there was it was a painted with red ochre ant people like on the rocks, right? And then there's the pipe, actually I got it right here, that I pulled out from between them. Let's see, where did it go? Oh, and here's a ring. Yeah. Now this is a little cruder. It looks like it's kind of a clay, but I mean the imagery on it is like not like a real human looking, right? And then
the pipe.
Yeah, it definitely is. In fact, and then here's a ring that I pulled out of that same location, and look at this guy. Doesn't look real human either. And
jeez.
I've got video of finding all of these things, and we're driving in the middle of nowhere. Everybody there in that town has a broken windshield. Because the roads are just just potholes and crap, and I think it would just smash their wind. Everybody had a broken windshield, and it became a problem. There's nothing there. They have no money, and these dudes would go out all day long with us and take us out and drive us in their truck, and then it's hot, and we're walking for miles, and we're going up hills, and I wanted to give them $50 for a tip, and it became a big problem. They got a hold of me. Oh, we have to give it back. We have to do it. I'm like, what? And they said, well, if so-and-so finds out. I said, he's not going to find out. I'm not telling anybody. You can keep that. That's yours. These little, it's a thing. These little towns, and they've got a person that controls it and wants to know everything that's going on. And okay, this is this. So Nassim Haramein and I were in Greece on the island of Delos, and Delos is crazy. It's got all these Roman and Greek ruins and all these mosaic tiles and beautiful statues, and a lot of it's kind of excavated. You can look in and see these beautiful patterns on the floor, and everybody kind of hangs out at the bottom near the waterfront. But they were just watching us like hawks. But we couldn't barely move. They were just on us, and those little key things between stones that those shapes. And there was always talking about what are those for, are those structural, and any structural engineer will tell you nothing you put in there is going to hold the stones together. I found one there that had metal in it still. And I was like, my God, it's still got the metal. And I'm taking pictures and it looks like kind of a coppery looking stuff.
Uh-oh.
And I saw another one at another temple too. But anyway, so I'm thrilled about that. And then I seen the seam going off this direction, right? And there's this hill, there's a big granite hill. And I learned from him that if there's a granite hill, he's going up. And he's a rock climber. He's like a spider, man. That dude just goes, wow. And I got like sandals on. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not letting him out of my sight because I know, he knows what he's doing. So death defying, getting up this rock behind him. We get on top of it, and there's like, you can see it's been a quarry, and it's granite, and it's very faint, but you can see where the lines and blocks had come out. He goes, this is like at least 100,000 years old. This is quarried up here, and no one's been up here. And so Delos. And if you look at it on Google Earth.
This is Darren's disaster map. So this is with 400 feet less water, right? So this is pre-Younger Dryas, like 120 meters. And
Cool.
Delos is right smack in the middle of this big. So this would have been all land around Delos.
So one thing we found out about the locals was there was actually a pyramid on one of the.
There's Delos right there.
On one of the islands next to it. There you go. And so right now it's a bunch of little islands in that area, and on an adjoining island there was a pyramid, a granite pyramid that the archaeologists actually destroyed. And you only can get this from the local people because it's not in the records or whatever. There's still one pyramid that exists there that's a granite pyramid that is not there, but it's near that area. Anyway, so the point of my story was I learned that when you see a granite hill, you go up, right? So I'm in the middle of desert in Mexico where you saw me find that artifact, right? And it's the craziest. It looks like a bunch of statues were melted by fire. Actually, I'll try to find you that real quick on the picture. But the point is there's a big granite hill, and I'm thinking, okay, I gotta go up that hill. And the guys I'm with are like, no. I'm like, what? There's nobody here. What's the problem? So they said, sign language, you've got it figured out. And they pointed, there was a bunch, okay, we're in the middle of nowhere. There's no industry, right? And there's wind turbines there, big wind, like enormous ones. And they said, cameras, surveillance, fencing, you can't go up there. And the first thing I'm thinking is, if I'm finding these things under the rocks here, and I know that from Nassim that the important stuff is on top of a granite hill, I can't imagine what they found when they put those wind turbines in, because those have to take a big footing, right? And I said, okay, well, let me see if I can get permission. What's the name of the company? I can look it up. And they said, Draco. Draco was the name of the company that put the wind turbines on top of this hill in the middle of nowhere to keep it with cameras to keep everybody out. So I'm sure it's just a coincidence, By the way, if you ever meet Matt Bell, he doesn't know what Draco is. He doesn't know what a white hat is either. You have to explain that to him.
So did you ever think about the pine cone being for Yggdrasil, the world tree in Norse cosmology? Like basically everything around the Norse universe revolves around it, literally holds the cosmos together.
So this area is like got these all over it. They look like melted
they're like
statues,
standing stones,
and they stand all along. Yeah, and
Wow.
they're much further, and then there's actually if I got a bigger view, that's close up. This is further away, right? And it's literally a huge panorama of them. And when you get closer and you look at them, okay, I know I've got a view of it. It looks like melted bricks together. I don't know if you can see they're. Anyway, so, and on the ground, there's places it looks like it's been melted. Crazy area. And as I'm there, Tony Rodriguez he trains people for remote viewing. And I had a woman doing remote viewing she's done it twice now in 2 different times I was excavating. And when I was crawling under that rock to find the thing, she's in Australia going, okay, I see a huge cube. See a rock that's like a stone cube, huge, and I'm thinking, okay, whatever. I'm crawling. I get out, and after I find it, I look up, and the rock over me was a big cube, right? And then when we were, okay, I'm going to show you this cave that we were in Mexico, and she's reading, and she had 4 different. Okay, this is a crazy proof of consciousness kind of a thing here. So I don't know. Are you guys familiar with remote viewing at all? Like how this works?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
100%, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't know, because I'm sending them a coordinate, right? But I thought it would be like a GPS coordinate, but it wasn't. She goes, it just needs to be an alphanumeric kind of numbers, like 5 or 6 numbers, and you just like put your intention on these numbers. I'm like, okay. So I had a couple people with me, and I'm like, okay, we're going to imagine this spot, and we're going to write this number down, okay? And then we all put a number in, and then we gave them the number, right? So there's like 3 or 4 that participated. We get the drawings back, and one of them drew the exact shape of the cave. One of them there's a tree growing up next to it, had a vine on it that I had to move the vine off to put my camera on it to do the tree with the vine on it. They basically were seeing that there was a not human body there, because this all seems like it's a tribute to something, right? And I'll show you actually more proof of that. Let me try this. Okay, we're gonna put the sound on. Okay, share. Okay, and hopefully this is working. Okay, this is in the cave. Do you see this or no? It's a head.
Yep.
Yes. Another.
Okay,
It looks like
so
a
this is
alien head.
Yeah, this is about 3 feet tall. It's huge. It's sticking out of the side of the rock there, and it like lights up bright green with under a UV light. And I have that in a trailer here that I can show you. Let's see. Here we go. All right, this is a couple minutes long. Let's see if we can. All right, are you seeing that? You should be able to hear it too. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Something was found in a remote Mexican desert. What began as a search quickly became something else.
That's incredible.
Buried beneath the surface, objects unlike anything expected.
He's got 3 third eyes.
That was frozen.
Preliminary tests reveal these objects were not recent, not centuries, but thousands of years old. Ancient Sumeria, the Younger Dryas Cataclysm. 17,500 years old. Claims like these are often disputed. And yet, the evidence remains. Then, The discovery led deeper
Oh,
into a space untouched.
my goodness.
What happened inside was not expected.
Oh my God.
Unusual behavior.
Pile of ants on top of what? Now, dust the box off here. All these ants are just around, right around this box. Being on the cover, it looks like.
Unexpected reactions.
It's like they're getting zapped.
Some
Oh my God, are you okay?
who entered didn't stay long.
Bum, 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 bum.
As more artifacts were uncovered,
You are muted.
I got the feeling that people were getting sick there from the dust or something, and before he
like
got
it.
bounced.
From the space dust.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. This is like legit treasure hunting.
Yeah, that's wild.
So that was in Jalisco. You know, that's further east. That's near Puerto Vallarta. It's kind of east of Puerto Vallarta, southeast of Puerto Vallarta. Guadalajara. It's near Guadalajara.
PV, baby.
Yeah.
Probably
So
like-
it's hard with this internet this slow. We should probably wrap it up.
We'll probably wrap it up. We'll put all Frank's links in the show note. Big thanks to Frank for coming back on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Please support the show. Grimerica.ca/support. Check out GrimericaOutlaw.ca for the podcast. Contact at thecabin.com for trips and events. Adultbrain.ca for the audiobooks. And of course, simulationmaps.com for all of those simulation maps. Other than that, we love you guys. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.
Your mind's on fire, all the color red in a blue lagoon. In a storm in Bermuda, you've dive bombed into a seashell swoon. Maybe your easiest dreams make sweet perfume. While you're yawning, yet not breathing in a hospital room. Should I call for help? We are drowning in this ocean swell. Let's start from scratch. Quit living these lies and become unattached. The idea of some far-off future is the fuel for your worries. But for God's sakes, time is eternal. Please do not hurry. Please do not fret. Please act now in a way that doesn't lead to regret. Please stop smoking so many cigarettes so profusely.